Hey guys, we're going to do a quick tutorial here on color in Aperture. This is Aperture 3. I'm on a 27-inch iMac, so it's going to be small controls for you in the video. And this is going to be an extreme example, okay? I probably wouldn't do a real photo this way, but I took this photo so I could show you what you can do with color. You can do some really amazing things with color in Aperture. And that's one of the reasons that I love it. So I was walking in the woods today, shooting with some friends, and there was this multicolored tree, and I thought this is perfect. So we've got some purples, some greens, and some reds in this tree, and it's really nice. It's a fall day, so that's why it's all these colors. So let's take a look at my settings, and then we'll start editing the photo. So I'm using a 7D. I was using a 17 to 55 2.8. I was at about 42 when I took this, so I'm zoomed in a little bit, giving me a little depth, but I'm at 2.8, so it's a little fuzzy, so probably shouldn't have been at 2.8, but I'm at 250th of a ISO and 1/80th of a second. I used autofocus because I just kind of snapped it out of the side. I didn't really spend time on it. And one of the things that I want to mention here is that sometimes you can take a photo that looks uninteresting, like this photo looks kind of uninteresting, and we can turn it into something that is really interesting. And if we go to the side here, that's a dog. And if we go back one, this is a vibrant rendition of the photo that we just looked at. And so I'm going to show you how to enhance color in this manner. I'm not saying this is kind of dramatic. This is very dramatic, but it is much more interesting now, and the color of that tree is like boom right in front of you. Again, this is a dramatic example. So let's show you what you can do with color to achieve an effect like that. So first things first, I shot raw, so we have a lot of color detail to play with. First thing I'm going to do, first thing you would think you would want to do, and if you don't know anything, you think, oh, saturation, so we bump that up, right? But that looks really stupid. It just does all the wrong stuff. So we're going to reset that back to 0. Okay, we don't want to change that saturation. And then you're thinking, what about vibration, right? Or vibrancy, right? Well, you don't want to change vibrancy that much either. Vibrancy does give you a really cool effect, but it's making a lot of stuff that I don't want to be vibrant. I don't want these rocks to be purple. It's not the goal. So let's put this back to regular, okay, to 0. So what we are going to do is play with individual colors. So we're going to add adjustment, color, and we're going to use our color picker, and we're going to start with these reds. We're going to pick this red, and you can see, make sure that the hue and that red box is on a red, okay? Now, it's not the same color red, it's just telling me it's basically red. So we click that, and now that we have these three controls, we can actually change the color of those leaves now if we wanted to. We could make them purple. So we can make them yellow. We can actually make them any hue we want it, but we're not going to do that. We're going to leave the hue where it is. We're going to saturate just that red. Okay, so now we've brought out just those red. We could go really extreme with it if we wanted to, but again, we don't want to go too extreme or it looks fake, but just to show you an example, we're going to increase that and then our luminance. Okay, now this range slider basically says how much of that red across the photo do I want to touch. Notice how these are all bright red, but these leaves really aren't touched. I could touch those leaves by increasing my range, and now I've hit those reds, and I've also hit a couple yellows. While this is an actually really interesting effect, if someone were to see this photo, they'd be like, how the hell did you get that color? Well, you faked it. But really, it kind of looks like the sun is kind of gleaming in and giving you... Again, this is super extreme. You never want to slide these sliders that much. So we're going to bring our range back to 0, or back to 1 rather. Bring our luminance about halfway, and bring our saturation about halfway. So right now, you can take a look at before and after. We have a really dull red, and now we have really exciting reds. And they're not over the top. This is still a believable situation. And so we've fixed the red in the photo without affecting red somewhere else. So now let's fix this purple color. So you can't just repick. This is one single color adjustment. Okay? You want to click this little dialog or click this little settings thing and do add new color. Now we're adding a second color. So now we're going to color pick this blue. Now you could mess up and hit this green by accident. So make sure that you actually have the color selected that you're looking for. In our case, it's going to be this blue. Now we've selected the blue. So now we can saturate those blues. Okay, so there's our blues being saturated. Just like that. And we can change those blues if we want, but we don't want to do that. We want to change our lightness or luminance here. Okay, and we could always increase that our range if we want. So two things are happening right now that I don't like. So we're hitting that rock again because the rock is like the same color as these leaves. So if we increase the range, we're really hitting that rock, and we really don't want to. We could decrease our range and not hit the rock, So, but the rock is so close to these leaves colors, there's only one thing we actually can do. So let's set our colors the way we like. So this is now a lot more vibrant on that. So now what we can do is we can right click, or click this again, not right click, and now we can brush color away. So now I can actually brush away the color that I don't want. And you want to use a relatively soft brush for this, okay, so that you don't get things that you don't want to. And so now we can actually brush away these rocks on that layer that we didn't want to touch. Okay? And we're only brushing, it's not going to affect these reds at all. It's only brushing away that blue color. Okay? And obviously if you're doing this for a client, you'll spend a lot more time doing this, because you don't want to do that where you don't want to. Okay, so now let's look at our before and after, right? So there's our before and after. You can kind of see we're affecting some things over here we don't want to, but this is looking good. So we have some dull colors. So now let's take out these greens. These greens are left out right now. So let's either one of these now, it doesn't matter. We can add a new color adjustment, and we're going to choose this green color. Okay, make sure that we're on the green. And then we're going to increase our saturation on just those greens. And you can see a lot of the photos being affected right now, but as I'm sliding this back and forth, it's actually really only affecting the ones that I want. It's not touching these out here, which is awesome. So I'll increase those and change our luminance and brighten those up and bring those colors out. And now we take our range, and we could you know, see which leaves we're affecting now. So here's where we're affecting those leaves. And now here's where we're affecting the leaves in the back. And if we wanted to affect the leaves in the far corner, you can see we actually can hit them with the range, but you know, we don't want to do that. So let's keep it right to where we're just getting those leaves right about there. That's good. Now I saw when I increased the range that there's those yellow leaves here that we could potentially hit, which is cool, but I'm going to stop here. I'm not going to hit those leaves. I'll let those stay where they are. So we have changed the color of our photo now to where we have the blues, the purples, and these greens, along with the red, just really popping, which is really cool. So now we're going to do a couple more things here. So I'm going to just minimize these so they're out of the way. Now the photo is really lacking a lot of contrast, so let's add some contrast in. Usually I add contrast to a lot of the stuff that I work on. You know, I like deep contrast. You know, that's crazy. You know, I like that, but that's a little unreal, so we'll go with that. So now again, let's look at before and after, and you can see that we're really bringing this color out. It's still a real scenario, and the color is just like, you know, now people are going to tell you about the color here. Now I do have a little bit of a problem that this is kind of blurry up here. Again, you know, that's a problem with shooting at 2.8 on our lens that is 2.8. It's going to be soft. So let's play with color curves now to bring a lot more depth into the shot. So there's no light balance. There's no light shining from anywhere. It's kind of overcast here. So let's add that in. So we're going to add curves now, and curves are currently set to, I'm going to set them to luminance, okay, and linear luminance. And we're going to be on the channel of luminance. We're going to grab about 3/4 of the way up and just pull it to the left. And that's going to brighten up the center of the photo, leaving the bottom not. And I'm on the range shadows right now, but you can see normal. And if I'm on normal, it's actually just more dramatic by doing that. I'm just saying, wherever you are, just bring that 3/4 up. If you're down here, it brings it up in the shadows more. If you're here, it's the highlights. We're basically making the highlights brighter. Now that we've done that, we're going to continue the depth, and we're going to add a little bit of a vignette. We were shooting at wide angle, so we didn't get that much of a vignette, so I really like that. Let's pull that back a little bit. It's a little dramatic. Okay, that's good. So now let's look at it before and after, and you can see we're really starting to affect the color of this photo. Now, one thing that I like is to pull the blacks out just a little bit. Okay, it gives just a little bit more. I always like to have some black in the photo. Now we're going to change the color of the blacks to a bluish tint to kind of give it a cinema feeling, which is kind of a nice feeling for the eye. So we're going to click on this little doodad here again. I'm calling it like 3 different things. It's a settings thing. And we're going to add a new curves adjustment. And this time we're going to make sure we're on linear and RGB. We're going to be on our blue channel. We're going to we're going to go into the shadows. We're going to grab down as far as we can go, right? Grab this little knot, this guy. And you can see this is changing the blacks to blue right now. We're basically affecting just the blues. We're going to pull that up just a little bit. So look at the difference in the black. Look at this black right here, and you can see the difference between here and here. We're going to be very barely there. Then we go up just a little bit and pull down just a little bit. It gives it a little bit of a yellowish tint to it, but it actually kind of softens the blue there. And because we've done that, we can actually come down to our blue color that we played with. which one was that? Or blue color. And we could always increase that range a little bit to bring the blues back out, because we did kind of pull them away. Okay, and always at this point, since we have been adjusting our white balance via the change in the color to blue, we could always bring a little blue away. That's really dramatic. But you know what? You don't really want to touch this that much once you've done all these adjustments. Bring it back just a little bit, a little more fall color. Okay, so there we go. So we haven't done too much. We haven't gone crazy, and it's a lot more. It's still believable, but the color really makes a difference here. So let's look at before and after. If here's before, you probably would have trashed this photo. It could be interesting, but it's not. The light didn't hit it right. But if you bring out the color in the photo by using all these different color tricks, it really brings it together. And I'm not saying this is a photo that you would really want to do this with all the time, but think about your other photos where you've got a color that isn't quite there, that you just want it to be there. It just really pops. Just a little quick add-on. I was checking time here. I want to show you when in a real photo scenario when you would use the color adjustment, not in that leaf photo earlier. So this is a photo that I love. This was climbing Mount Adams earlier in the YouTube channel. You can see a video of me at the top. This is when we're not quite to the top yet. Obviously, it's not snow everywhere. This is just a pile of rocks on an edge of a mountain with another kind of like a lower mountain, this red one in the background with the sky. It looks pretty neat. You can see far out. But let me show you the before, because it's much less interesting of a shot before. Here's the before. It's a huge blue cast. Obviously, the white balance could fix that. It's a dark shot. Exposure fixes that. The rocks aren't quite in focus, so we're not quite hyperfocal. Sharpening fixes that. And the red just isn't there at all. So what we can do is we go through all of our adjustments and we get to this level. Now let me show you just without the color real quick. So here's lacking the red color, and then here's the red color back in. It really brings that together. It has red. I know this is red, and I know that there's red in all the rocks. I was there, but it just isn't in the photo the way you want it to be. So using the technique we just learned, we can bring that red out of the ground and out of that level, and it just pulls it together so much more and makes it a lot more interesting. So this is just a real life scenario where you would use the color technique. So yep, that's some color and how you modify individual colors in Aperture.